What's on, mini fans? We are back with part 2 of this industrial complex. So we're getting on to a lot more detailed stuff and some LED lighting as well. If you like anything in the video, feel free to hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with my content. Also, any feedback is much appreciated, so feel free to leave a comment. And then down below in the description box I have some affiliate links. So I have a couple of hobby stores, one for EU, it's UK based but it does do all of EU, and then one US, and then I also have some Amazon affiliate links for my most used items. I also have a Patreon where I host all the templates I use in any of my videos, and of course feel free to subscribe to my Patreon if you want to support me further. Anyway, enough of this, let's get on to crafting. We're starting off putting some card stock banding around that bottle container, the orange bottle container. So what I initially do is cut a strip or a couple of strips of cardstock and wrap it round the bottle so I get a nice curve already, and then I measure it up, cut off the excess, and then just glue it on with tacky glue. I also do a couple of horizontal, I think they were 5mm thick strips, although later on I rip one of these off. Not entirely intentionally, but it does happen. I now add the extra block of XPS in the bottom right corner, and I've just glued this down with tacky glue, and then after this is glued in, I start going in with the cast Zone Mortalis arches. Now you'll notice a couple of these have got a bit of card stuck on the back, and that's just because there's a bit of a gap behind them on the chipboard clad XPS foam. So anyway, I glue all these in. Then to break up some of the surfaces of the XPS foam, because I've done a few as granny grating, but I didn't want them all to be. So this one I do some strips of wide cable tie, bit of granny grating in the middle, and then I don't actually record this, but later on I was just going to fill like the textured bit of the foam with filler, but it wasn't working out that well, so eventually I just cut out some pieces of cardstock and glue those in. But as I say, I didn't actually film that bit, so you'll see that appear later. Alright, we're now working on what will eventually be a crane platform. So what I've done, the crane from my cargo lifter vehicle I made a while ago, I went back to that and I cut the crane off, and then glued some magnets onto the bottom of the crane, and I put some of that whiteboard sheet on the vehicle so I can just, pop it on and pop it off, because I want to use that crane on this. So I go ahead and make this little platform at the end of this XPS foam piece. I make this platform out of chipboard, and then I glue a washer on top so that the crane will sit on that. I didn't want this whole platform to look that plain, so I go ahead and start adding some stuff to it to either side. So one side I have this, it's an LED light controller box, which looks very cool. It's got these vents on the sides, but the vents go straight through, so I glue some cardstock on the inside so there's no actual gap. And then I do some little bits of cardstock on the ends to fill in any gaps. So this gets glued on one side, and then the other side I use 2 of the cast pipe greebles I made ages ago. And I've also done some more trim on top and a bit of granny grating. This is where moulding and casting really pays off. So I'm using a load of cast pipe connectors that I made in the last video, especially the bendy corner bits. So these get glued in various places. And also my little vents that I made previously, I did make a mould and cast those, so I use a load of those in different places. This is the first time I've used LED lighting. So I've got this little LED set. So it's a couple of LED lights connected to a little battery pack with switch. So that square bit of XPS I glued down a bit earlier with the arches round. This is the base. I have this extra rectangle which is going on top. And this is going to hide where the wires go. So I just cut out a trench or a couple of trenches through this with a craft knife. And this is where the cable for the lights is going to go. And then I put a little bit of straw at either end, so it's kind of looks like part of the scenery. And then the battery pack is going to get hidden in another, again, it's a LED light controller. But what I do with this one is magnetize it. So I've put some of that whiteboard sheet on the back of the battery pack, whack some magnets in the LED controller, and then on the actual piece of terrain I've done a couple of strips again about whiteboard sheet, and then more magnets glued to the edges of the LED controller box so that can attach onto the side. Onto some filler work. This did take a while, so I fill any gaps in the XPS foam, and then also gaps between the chipboard trim. I try and cover all of those. Back to the crane platform. So the crane would be sticking out over the edge the way I'm placing this. And I wanted a couple of supports running up. So that's what I do now. And I just make these out of chipboard. It's pretty simple. It kind of looks like a ladder almost, but that's fine. So once this is made, and I just glue that together with super glue, I glue the crane platform down with tacky glue, and then just glue this little support on at the front, and just whack a couple of rivets either side. now we move on to some more pipes. So I'm using those kids pipes, and I've already mapped out sort of where it's going to go. So I've got the kids pipes into position, glued them together with super glue, and for where they join to the walls, I don't want to just do it straight, so I've put on some washers on either end. So then I just glue this into place using tacky glue. Super glue will melt the XPS probably, so I don't want to do that. So I just wedge it into place, and I put some stuff underneath so it can't move, and then yeah, tacky glue. Alright, so we're going back to the LED lights now. So what I've done, I've made these kind of light housings, or light shades. So I got some of the PET litter bag inner tubes, plastic ones, and cut those at an angle either side. Then I've cut out a notch so the wires can hang down. And then I wanted the lights to be in the center, so I've used various diameters of straw and made this kind of housing, which I paint all the inside black, glue that into the litter in a tube, and then put the light in and glue it in. So the first light, I just glue on the side of this block that's housing the cables. And I make sure I pull some of the cable through, because I think it looks quite sick, just coming down from the light and then going into this little pipe underneath. So that just gets glued into place with tacky glue, and then I glue this whole block down. Then for the second light, what I'm doing is mounting this on another set of pipes, which I'm running from next to that orange bottle on top to this block we've just made. So again, I've put it in one of those little litter tube housings, so I've glued that onto the pipes, and then I just loop the cable so it looks kind of cool. So you've just got this wire sort of coiled around. So after it's all in place, I cover the whole wire in super glue to try and keep it rigid, and then I go ahead and glue this pipe into place. Alright, what I'm working on now is an upper platform. So I start off making this bit of chipboard to fit on top of that bottle at the very top. So it's just a rectangle with a smaller rectangle on the side. And then to decorate this, I use 5mm cardstock trim on the main rectangle, then a bit of granny grating to cover the smaller bit, and I do put rivets all over this as well, but I don't film that bit. Then for the rest of the platforms, I'm doing 2 other platforms, so they're each going to be slightly lower than the other. So what I've done is cut out an outline of 1cm chipboard, although the lower platform at the ends is 2cm. And then underneath that gap, I glue some granny grating, and then to strengthen the whole thing, I use some coffee stirrers and just glue these on the bottom along each side. to attach these two platforms together, I've made this, I made a template out of cardstock initially and then just trace it out onto chipboard and cut it out. But then I also do another part, slightly smaller, the same kind of design, and glue that on to the side of this joining support, and I rivet this as well. So this gets glued onto the side of the bottom platform and then glued to the top platform to keep them together. So I go ahead and glue this into place now, and I use a couple of T-beams up from where the LED lights are to support the end of this platform. So I do 2 of those, and I glue the platform into place on those and on the bottle. But after it's glued on, I realize it isn't level, so I have to deattach it, cut it off from the bottle, which pulls off that second strip of cardstock which I mentioned earlier. So I glue it into place, getting it level, and then I've added an extra little sort of armoured panel on the bottle above where the platform sits, a couple of rivets on there. And the platform in the centre isn't that strong, so I figured what I could do is some angled beams going down from the bottom to the sort of main body of the building. So I've just done a double layer of chipboard, rivets on either side, cut each end at a bit of an angle, so I glue this into place, and I do one small one on one side and then one longer one on the other side. Alright, so this is how we're looking at the moment, and I'm pretty pleased with the direction this is heading in. So I whacked the crane on just to see how it looks, and yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. But I'm going to need a lot of ladders on this. Because I have to make quite a few ladders, I want the process to be quite simple. So what I've done, either side is going to be a base of 5mm wide chipboard strip, and then on top of that a 4mm wide strip glued on so the edges line up. Then that 1mm difference will be able to seat some granny grating. So I'm taking strips, so my granny grating, like 3 squares across, is kind of perfect size. So I cut strips 3 squares wide and then cut out bits, so it's just horizontal bars. So I do loads of these and just glue it all together. I glue the chipboard together with tacky glue and then get the granny grating into place and super glue it on. Alrighty, we're on to the final stage, and that is attaching these ladders. So I just get them into place and then super glue them in. Off camera, I've also added some more of the pipe connectors with bits of straw pipe in between in at least one place. And then I added some extra supports onto the back of that bottle because I thought it looked a bit unsteady, shall we say. And that's the end of the build. So what I'll do next is seal all the chipboard and probably the foam, because I think I'm going to have to prime this either with a spray can, maybe airbrush, because some of the bits are so hard to get into. But yeah, very pleased with how this is looking. So we will come back for the next video and we will do the painting. Alright, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next vid. Cheers for now.